Sverre Sigurdsson emerged from the shadows in 1177, a figure shrouded in mystery and ambition. He claimed to be the son of King Sigurd, a declaration that would ignite a decades-long civil war in Norway. His early life was spent in the Faroe Islands, where he was educated for the priesthood. This humble beginning belied the fierce warrior and cunning strategist he would become. Sverre's claim was audacious, challenging the established rule of King Magnus Erlingsson. Magnus was supported by the church and the powerful Lendmen, making him a formidable opponent. The political landscape of Norway was already fractured by previous conflicts, leaving deep scars across the land. Many factions, both noble and common, vied for influence and control over the rich trade routes and fertile lands. The air was thick with tension and the promise of further unrest, a palpable sense of impending change. Sverre found his initial support among the Birkebeiners, a faction of impoverished and often desperate men. These birch legs were so named because they wrapped their legs in birch bark due to lack of proper footwear. Destitution made them fearless and willing to risk everything for a chance at a better life and a fairer society. They were a motley crew, drawn from the lowest strata of society, but they were fiercely loyal and eager for radical change. Their numbers swelled with every promise of reform, a growing tide of discontent. Sverre quickly proved himself a charismatic leader, inspiring hope and unwavering devotion in his followers. He spoke with conviction, promising them a new order, one where the common man had a voice and justice prevailed. His words resonated deeply with those who felt marginalized and oppressed by the existing power structures. The year 1077 marked the true beginning of his rebellion, a small spark in the cold, unforgiving Norwegian winter that would soon become a raging inferno. The stage was set for an epic struggle, a clash of old and new. His first significant military action was the audacious capture of Nidaros, the ecclesiastical capital, in 1077. This bold move immediately signaled his intent and capability to the entire kingdom, sending shockwaves through the established order. The Birkebeiners, under Sverre's command, began to gain momentum across the vital region of Trøndelag. They were often severely outnumbered in conventional battles, but compensated with superior speed, cunning, and surprise tactics. Their movements were swift and unpredictable, like shadows in the northern landscape. Sverre's tactical genius became apparent in numerous skirmishes, ambushes, and strategic retreats. He understood the rugged terrain of Norway intimately, using its dense forests, hidden fjords, and towering mountains to his strategic advantage. Every natural feature became a potential ally, a shield or a weapon. Early years were a constant, brutal struggle for survival and legitimacy against a well-entrenched and powerful enemy. King Magnus and his forces relentlessly pursued the Birkebeiners across the vast, wild lands of Norway. Sverre's army often had to retreat into the unforgiving wilderness, enduring harsh conditions, starvation, and bitter cold. They learned to live off the land, a testament to their hardiness and resourcefulness. Their resilience, forged in adversity, however, only strengthened their collective resolve and unwavering loyalty to their enigmatic leader. The conflict was not merely a struggle for dynastic power between two claimants. It was a profound clash of ideologies, social classes, and visions for Norway's future. Sverre represented a radical challenge to the traditional aristocratic and ecclesiastical power structures that had long dominated Norwegian society. His movement offered a glimmer of hope for the dispossessed, a promise of a more equitable kingdom, a dream worth fighting for with every fiber of their being. By 1179, Sverre achieved a major victory at the Battle of Kalvskinnet near Nidaros. This battle was a critical turning point, solidifying his control over the strategically vital region of Trøndelag. The clash was fierce, with heavy losses on both sides, staining the ground red. King Magnus' father, Erling Skakke, powerful, experienced and respected Jarl, was killed in this brutal engagement. His death sent ripples of despair through Magnus's ranks, a blow from which they would struggle to recover. The death of Erling Skakke was a severe and irreparable blow to Magnus's cause, and significantly damaged his morale. Sverre's reputation as a brilliant and ruthless military leader grew exponentially throughout Scandinavia and beyond. He began to attract more followers, including some from the established elite who recognized his rising star and pragmatic power. The civil war intensified dramatically, spreading its destructive reach across the entire Norwegian landscape, leaving devastation in its wake. Villages were plundered, and fields lay fallow, signs of a kingdom in turmoil. Naval battles became increasingly important in the struggle for control over coastal towns, vital trade routes, and strategic islands. Sverre proved remarkably adept at sea warfare, demonstrating strategic brilliance in naval campaigns, as well as his renowned land operations. His ships, often smaller, faster, and more maneuverable, consistently outmaneuvered the larger, heavier vessels of his opponents. The Birkebeiners became masters of both land and sea, a truly versatile and formidable fighting force. The decisive moment arrived in 1584 at the Battle of Fimreite, a name that would echo through history for centuries. This was a monumental naval engagement fought on the treacherous, deep waters of the Sogne Fjord, a dramatic natural arena. The fjord itself seemed to hold its breath as the fleets clashed, a silent witness to the unfolding tragedy. Sverre's fleet, though perhaps less grand in appearance, decisively defeated Magnus Erlingsson's numerically superior forces. The sound of clashing shields, splintering wood, and desperate war cries filled the air, a cacophony of battle. King Magnus himself perished tragically in the battle, drowning after his ship was overwhelmed and sank beneath the waves. His royal banner disappeared beneath the churning water, a symbol of his lost reign. With Magnus's death, Sverre Sigurdsson became the undisputed king of Norway, a truly remarkable feat for a former priest from the Faroe Islands. His long and arduous struggle, spanning 7 intense years, had finally culminated in ultimate victory and the realization of his audacious claim. The year 1084 marked the end of one bloody phase of the Civil War, but the peace would be fleeting and fragile. Sverre's coronation soon followed, legitimizing his rule in the eyes of many, though not all, of his subjects. He now faced the immense and daunting challenge of governing a war-torn kingdom, rebuilding its institutions, and uniting its fractured people. The weight of the crown was heavy, a burden of immense responsibility. However, his reign was far from peaceful or universally accepted by all segments of society. The powerful church, which had staunchly supported Magnus, vehemently refused to recognize Sverre's kingship. Archbishop Eirik Ivarsson became his most vocal and unyielding opponent, leading the ecclesiastical resistance from his exile in Denmark. The conflict between the crown and the church escalated rapidly into a bitter and protracted power struggle, both spiritual and temporal. Sverre challenged the church's traditional privileges, its vast landholdings, its significant political influence, and its right to appoint bishops. He sought to assert royal supremacy over ecclesiastical authority, a bold move for the era. He firmly believed that the king should have ultimate temporal authority in Norway, not the powerful bishops of the distant pope. This uncompromising stance led to his excommunication by Archbishop Eirik in 1594, a severe spiritual condemnation that threatened his soul and his rule. Pope Celestine III subsequently confirmed the excommunication, placing the entire Kingdom of Norway under an interdict, a devastating religious sanction. This was a severe spiritual and political blow, effectively isolating Norway from much of Catholic Europe and denying its people sacraments. The bells of the churches fell silent, and the faithful were left in spiritual limbo. Sverre, however, skillfully used propaganda, legal arguments, and popular sentiment to rally support against the church's perceived overreach and foreign interference. He argued passionately that the church was unduly interfering in Norwegian internal affairs and undermining the legitimate authority of the king. He even wrote a polemical work, a speech against the bishops, to publicly justify his actions and garner widespread public sympathy among the common folk. This document was a revolutionary piece of political writing for its time, challenging established norms and papal decrees with intellectual vigor. New rebellions soon emerged, fueled by lingering aristocratic discontent, unresolved grievances, and the powerful, persistent opposition of the church. The most significant was the Bagler Party, formed in 1196, just 2 years after Sverre's excommunication. The Baglers were strongly supported by the church, wealthy landowners, influential merchants, and those who desired a return to the old, more stable order. They sought explicitly to restore the traditional balance of power and depose Sverre, whom they viewed as an illegitimate usurper and a heretic. Their name, Bagler, was derived from the Old Norse word for bishop's crozier, clearly indicating their strong ecclesiastical backing and conservative agenda. The Bagler uprising plunged Norway back into a devastating civil war, even more widespread and destructive than the previous one. Sverre now faced a new and powerful enemy, well-funded, ideologically motivated, and with significant popular support in certain regions. The fighting was brutal, relentless, and widespread, affecting all parts of the kingdom, from the southern coasts to the northern fjords. Cities were besieged, farms were burned, trade was disrupted, and countless lives were lost in the internecine struggle. The land groaned under the weight of constant conflict, and the people yearned for peace, a respite from the endless bloodshed. Sverre's military prowess was once again put to the ultimate test against this formidable new foe. He achieved several hard-won victories against the Baglers, demonstrating his enduring strategic brilliance and leadership. The Battle of Strindfjorden in 1199 was another important naval triumph, showcasing his continued mastery of sea combat and tactical innovation. Despite his military successes, the constant warfare took an immense and unsustainable toll on the kingdom and its long-suffering people. The Norwegian economy suffered greatly, with vital trade routes disrupted, agricultural production declining, and resources diverted to the war effort. Famine stalked the land, and disease spread rapidly through the weakened population. The population endured immense hardship, famine, disease, and widespread displacement due to the prolonged conflict. Sverre's own health began to decline under the relentless strain of perpetual conflict, governance, and the heavy burden of kingship. He showed signs of weariness, but never surrender, his resolve unyielding. He continued to lead his forces with unwavering determination, a true warrior king until the very end of his days. His charisma remained a powerful force, inspiring his loyal Birkebeiners to continue fighting for his cause, even when hope seemed dim. They saw him as their champion, a king who understood their struggles and fought for their future, a beacon in the darkness of civil war. In 1202, King Sverre Sigurdsson died in Bergen, the bustling western capital, a city he had often used as his base. His death marked the end of an extraordinary and transformative era in Norwegian history. He had ruled Norway for 18 tumultuous years, a period defined by relentless warfare, profound social upheaval, and significant political change. His legacy was complex, controversial, and undeniably enduring, shaping the course of the kingdom for centuries. He had fundamentally challenged the entrenched power of the church and the traditional aristocracy, forever altering their roles and influence. He had risen from complete obscurity, a humble priest from the Faroe Islands, to become the undisputed king of Norway against all odds. His reign, despite a constant conflict, laid the crucial groundwork for a stronger, more centralized monarchy in the centuries to come, consolidating royal power. The civil wars, however, tragically continued for some years after his death, as the Baglers persisted in their fight for the old order. His son, Håkon Sverresson, succeeded him, inheriting a kingdom still embroiled in bitter conflict and division. The Birkebeiner party, though now the ruling dynasty, continued to fight for their vision of Norway, a vision born from Sverre's ambition. Sverre's story is a powerful testament to ambition, resilience, and unparalleled political acumen in a brutal age. He remains one of Norway's most controversial and fascinating historical figures, a true rebel king who defied conventions. His struggle profoundly reshaped the political and social landscape of medieval Norway, leaving an indelible mark. The Birkebeiner movement, though initially a desperate rebel faction, ultimately became the foundation of the new royal line, a testament to their perseverance. The impact of his revolutionary reign resonated for generations, influencing subsequent Norwegian monarchs and their policies. His defiance of the powerful Catholic Church was particularly groundbreaking and audacious for the era, a challenge to papal authority. He was a king who truly rose from the people, challenging the established order from below and giving voice to the voiceless. His life was a continuous, relentless battle for power, legitimacy, and the very soul of Norway. The ancient sagas tell of his incredible endurance, his strategic brilliance, and his unwavering will to overcome all obstacles. He was a master of psychological warfare, inspiring both profound fear in his enemies and fierce loyalty in equal measure among his devoted followers. The majestic mountains and deep fjords of Norway witnessed his epic struggle unfold over 2 tumultuous decades. His name is forever etched in the annals of Norwegian history as a transformative and unforgettable figure. The year 1202 brought an end to his personal fight, but his influence continued to shape the kingdom for decades. His vision for a stronger, more independent Norway began to take root, slowly but surely. He left behind a kingdom forever changed by his extraordinary will and indomitable spirit. His story is a saga of a king who dared to dream of a different Norway. His legacy is a complex tapestry of conflict and reform, woven with threads of blood and ambition. The echoes of his battles still resonate in the valleys. His reign was a crucible that forged a new national identity. The common folk remembered his promises of justice. His enemies feared his cunning and his relentless pursuit of power. The Birkebeiners, once outcasts, became the king's most trusted warriors. Their loyalty was a cornerstone of his military success. Sverre's court was a vibrant center of political intrigue and military planning. He often held assemblies to gain popular support for his policies. Sagas portray him as a man of great intellect and persuasive speech. He understood the power of narrative in shaping public opinion. His struggle against the church was a defining feature of his rule. He sought to limit the church's temporal power, not its spiritual role. This distinction was often lost in the heat of conflict. The interdict placed a heavy burden on the Norwegian people. Yet, many remained steadfast in their support for Sverre. The Bagler party represented a conservative backlash against his reforms. They championed the traditional rights of the aristocracy and the church. Their conflict was a continuation of the broader European power struggles. Sverre's ability to adapt to changing circumstances was remarkable. He was a master of both defensive and offensive warfare. His campaigns often involved long marches through difficult terrain. The Birkebeiners were accustomed to hardship and privation. Their endurance was legendary, a testament to their leader's inspiration. Sverre's final years were marked by weariness, but not defeat. He continued to fight for his vision of a unified Norway. His death left a void that was difficult to fill. The kingdom mourned the passing of its rebel king. His influence extended far beyond his lifetime. The Birkebeiner dynasty he founded would rule for decades. His story is a powerful reminder of the human will to overcome adversity. He remains a symbol of resistance against entrenched power. The echoes of his reign shaped the future of Norway.